Okay, so hopefully you wrote down a few things and shared those with Jeff, and he'll share those with myself, and we'll discuss and we'll see where we can go to help you from there. So the next little section here, I want to give you some resources for some lessons, some specific things on where to go to next. So a lot of you say, well, they can do these things, but they can't do these things. What do I do? So a nice continuum. So I bought 3 slides that are going to give you some excellent resources so you can click in and out with me on your PDF. So we're on slide 20. So this continuum of development here, this is where kids start, and this is where we, of course, want them to end. So we have to kind of think about where our students are at. So we start with labels. So our kindergarten teachers will have kids draw pictures, and then we label the pictures: son, dog, mom, those sorts of things. Then we make fact statements. The mom took the dog on a walk. Actually, that's probably more like a couplet collection. But the fact statements then can be specific things. So these links here, the writing continuum, this one comes from, I want to say it's Salt Lake City, but I might be wrong. So here are the different stages of writing development, okay? Scribbles, drawing with details, drawing random letters. Then we go to pictures and letter sound connections. We attempt words. Then developing this meaning in text with words, spaces, sentences, those sorts of things. So here's our different levels of writing. But this 30-page document has all of this great information in here. So at this exploratory stage, it tells you what it's like. So you can kind of figure out, and you ask the kids what it is. This is me and this is my friend. It's what my 2-year-old granddaughter's drawing, right? But you might have kids that are doing that. Here's some more scribbles. I'm going to go further down because I want to see this exploratory stage here. So here are some characteristics of emergent writers. They use pictures as major emphasis for meaning. They attempt words and or sentences with letter sound connections. Kindergarten teachers understand this well. Spelling reflects semi-phonetic. They might get the initial sound or they might get the end sound, but not the middle sound, those sorts of things. They may label picture parts. They may write their name. They're generally correct in their directionality, but as you know, some kids write at slants or from left to right, and we just have to fix that, right? But then they also can produce text that is sometimes difficult to read, right? Kindergarten teachers can read lots of stuff that 5th grade teachers cannot. But then this side tells us where to go next. So really working on that consistent spacing. We see this a lot in 1st grade. Consistent directionality. We want them to see we start at the left and we move to the right. We want to build the repertoire of sound letter connections. So here again, we have that reading, writing connection. If you're going to do sounds, start writing the letters that go with the sounds. Build repertoire of words. So we're really building our word bank. So a lot of discussion for oral vocabulary, but also written vocabulary. So any of those things, my dog, Brody, or my dog, Jack, or whatever. Let's try to name those things, right? Build some words. And then they might begin or get them to begin using writing as central aspect of communication. So not as much pictures, but more writing. And then think about the audience and make things easy to read. So who am I drawing this picture for? So that's the exploratory stage. It gives you examples of student writing and what kids can do and not do. So here's the developing stage. Again, this is great because it gives you, this is what they're doing. If they're doing these things, this is some things you can go to next. So as a teacher, I look at this and I say, oh, they're only writing 1 or 2 sentences. That's not great. We're going to be working on sentence building. We're going to write about what the writer knows. We're going to focus on beginning and end punctuation. We're going to consider audience again and write so others can read the text. So really giving them a purpose for writing. So if they're not writing very many sentences, they say, oh, I'm going to have your mom read it, or I'm going to have your friend in class read it, or I'm going to have a 1st grader read it. Whatever the case may be, give them some purpose for writing. So there's some more student examples with what the kids are doing. This is an excellent document to try to help you figure out where to go with your kids. So lots of stuff on developing. Then the beginning stages again. They're doing these things. Where do I go to next? I've actually been with some teachers that have just printed off these boxes and put them in a little kind of flip chart to say, and they highlight the characteristics that kids are doing once they see it being done on a consistent basis. So they kind of use it as I don't have to teach that anymore, or what do I have to remind kids of? So that might be something we consider thinking about putting together as well. So this really gives us some good ideas of where to go to or what to teach next or remind kids about writing next. So during your weekly writing instruction, here's some things that you can add in real quick to your writing practice. So that's an excellent document that I wanted you to look at and have a resource for. Reading Rockets has another really great one. It's very similar. It gives you all this information. That one's talking about 4th grade. I'm going to skip down again to here. So this is a framework of students' information report writing development, okay? So again, we start with labels, and here's where they give you quick, easy examples. This is a girl in the grass and flowers. This is a picture of my dog. They're just telling you what it is, right? Then fact statements. T-ball is fun. Now, we might not say that's a fact, that's an opinion, but they're giving a fact as known to them, right? Mama bears take good care of baby cubs. Dinosaurs are dead. Volcanoes are dangerous and hot. So very specific, one sentence, little clauses that give you facts. When I get a list, spiders lay eggs, spiders make net webs, and spiders use thread. Now we're getting a list. So what else is fun? Maybe soccer is fun and basketball is fun. So we can make lists based on here. Okay? Then couplets. Trucks go by motors that make them go fast. So now I'm talking about what trucks have and why they have them, right? So moving on to couplets. Do you know where turtles swim? They swim in the ocean, under the sea. Okay? Jungles have a lot of good animals. There are bears, tigers, monkeys, and gorillas. So we're putting ideas together. So then we have the fact list collections. So farm animals, pigs are slippery, pigs eat slop, they oink, cows give milk, they eat grass, some are brown, sheep give wool, they go baa, some are brown. Okay, now at 2nd grade, we could have gen ed kids making much longer sentences than this, but this is really just showing you what those fact list collections are. So this is another great, easy way to kind of see how to move kids from one to the next. Categories 1 and 2, label and fact statements. It gives you some ideas here. Lots of reading, but there's a nice little document here, and I think you can... no, I thought these were examples, but they are downloadable, but it's not. So this is another great resource that I really highly encourage you to look through. The next one that I want you to think about is this IES practice guide. So this is teaching elementary students to be effective writers. This is all students, okay, not just special ed students. So this is where we really have to think about, is this student a special ed student, or can all gen ed students do these things, right? So this is a nice thing to share with your gen ed teachers too. How much time are we giving students to write? These are the 4 big recommendations that came out of this report, okay? The second one is teach students to use the writing process for a variety of purposes. So again, that writing process is the pre-writing, the planning, the organizing, the drafting, the revising, the editing, all of those. That's the writing process. And that variety of purposes might be informational, narrative, opinion, but also thinking about the variety of purposes of who your audience is. So who are you writing it for? You might write something completely different for another student to read as you would writing something that your parents or your teacher would read. So really think about audience there too. The third recommendation is teach students to become fluent with handwriting, spelling, sentence construction, typing, and word processing. So that handwriting, spelling, and sentence construction has to happen at the gen ed level at K-1-2. So we really have to advocate with our K-1-2 gen ed teachers to integrate that reading and writing and make sure that there's an emphasis on correct letter formation, and there's an expectation for them to do it that way, and that we have some assessments around spelling and ensure that our kids can not only decode words but encode the words as well. And then number 4 there, of course, is create an engaged community of writers. So anytime you can share your writing, either on a bulletin board or speaking out loud with another friend, whatever the case may be, really promoting writing as a special literary outline is great. Okay, so you can get this PDF here. If you click this one, you'll get the PDF. I think it's quite a few pages, but you can download that and highlight all of those recommendations. Have barriers that are in there, so it's 109 pages, but in here, here's the recommendations, but in each of these it'll tell you potential barriers that you might come across. So really nice, especially for us when we're looking at these. Here's the recommendations, here's the things they want you to teach. Okay, really great resource. And then the last one I want you to think about is Fluency with Writing Mechanics and Teacher. So it's read this, try this kind of thing. And these all come from the Iowa Reading Research Center. I don't know how many of you subscribe to their blog or get those in your email box. When the Iowa Reading Research Center website first came out, it was much different than it is now. Okay, I would highly recommend you check it out, sign up for their blogs. They have a lot more really great, useful things in there. So I want to click on these real quick to show you what they are. So here is Fluency with Writing Mechanics and an Engaged Community of Writers. Sound familiar? Those are 2 of the recommendations that came out of that IES practice guide. Everyone reads the same research, right? So here's the 4 recommendations in that practice guide. How to do it, some things to think about, okay? And then they have supplemental materials for teachers. This is a great piece then. Teacher methods of supporting students' writing. So here are some examples of sentence framing. So scaffolding method for sentence framing. Here is an example. What is your favorite food? You give them that sentence starter, right? When we do a sentence expansion, my dog likes pizza, so do I. My dog likes blank pizza, so do I. I have a pet. I have a cute brown fuzzy bunny named Pete. So really teaching kids and showing kids how to expand those sentences. And then also sentence combining. So remember, pigs say oink, pigs are slippery, pigs are whatever. Put those together, pigs, oink, and are slippery, right? So now we're combining those sentences into one. So showing kids how to do that. So this is a nice, read this article, try it out with some of the pieces. The next one then is helping students build stronger sentences. So this is sentence expansion. Again, here are the things we want to think about. Practice. Here's your sample lesson plans. Here's the elementary school one, there's a middle school one. And I believe that, yeah, so I've had it connected here too. So here's the sentence expanding elementary school example. So you set your goal and purpose. So really think about that goal setting, right? Self-regulation. Make sure kids know what they're doing. We're going to model it. And we're going to try it out. Okay, here's how we're going to ask students. So there's a nice little lesson plan, guided practice. We do it together, right? Really nice lesson plan. And here's your independent practice. Here's the you do it. And then here's your steps of expanding that sentence. So real nice. Developing needs improvement, sufficient. Here's a rubric that you can use around that to help kids self-regulate, right? To help you figure it out. And here's your notes. So it's a nice little piece. So those 3 slides, I want you to take some time here real quick and look through those and say which one of these might be beneficial for you or that you could use in your classroom to really help move kids forward. So put that together, take a few minutes to discuss, and if you have input or questions, write those down and get those to Jeff and we'll get those back to you as well.